jab, cross, hook, uppercut. Hi guys, how you going? I hope you're all feeling amazing. Today we are here, we're going to talk about doing some boxing / striking stuff for fitness, okay? As a personal trainer, I am a big believer in using striking techniques for fitness. Full disclosure there, I'm also a martial artist, so of course I like it. But you know, from a physical perspective and from a personal trainer's perspective, it is really good for your body. You know, you're getting impact loading, you're getting some good fitness work, you're exercising full body exercises on your muscles, ligaments, tendons, all of that kind of stuff. I thoroughly recommend it as a form of exercise that you can get in and do. And you know, particularly if you're doing it with people who you feel safe around, it can be extremely enjoyable to do. It also feels good to hit things. I thoroughly recommend it. I would actually see you get out there and do some of it. So if you're just starting out with the idea of striking things for fitness, there's some key things that I think you should know. We start with stances, finding a good fighting stance. We need to be thinking a lot about having a good base, so making sure my feet are hip to shoulder width apart. I've got 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, so we call it a split stance, okay? My rear heel is off the ground, my knees bent, and everything is nice and soft and ready for movement. I'm trying really hard not to be rigid in any of my joints. Making sure my feet really are hip to shoulder width apart. One of the big things that I see quite often with people when they're first starting out is that their rear foot tends to travel in towards their midline or even across the back of their front foot, and you will really struggle for balance. Okay, so making sure your feet are staying at about hip to shoulder width apart and your joints are nice and loose. Then to get our hands, bring them up, drop them down. One hand up around the head, the other hand up here. From there, I'm just gonna show you 4 basic strikes with the hands. And you know, it's a good place to start. It's where most people start when we're learning striking, from your fighting stance. For us here at Goodtogo, anything that comes off the front foot is your jab, okay? And then we've got the cross punch, which comes out from the rear leg, comes across the body. And then if we bring it back, we come around the corner for a hook punch, and then up underneath for either an uppercut or a rip, coming into the ribs this way. A lot of people ask me, how am I holding my hands when I'm throwing a punch? And my response to that is this: you find your groove as to exactly what position your hands are going to be in when that punch lands, okay? Particularly when it comes to hook punches and uppercuts. Everybody has different levels of flexibility and rotation, but the key thing is making sure that your wrist is straight, no matter what you're doing. When you impact, whatever it is that you're impacting, making sure that your wrist is nice and straight, because if my fist is up or down or rotated in a weird way, I'm going to get pain in the wrist, and it will possibly even travel up the elbow, depending on your position and the way you're holding things, okay? But that's a big one, right? So making sure my fist isn't up like this or down like this. And you know what? The other thing that I think is really important that I've come across, particularly with kids, when we're doing it with kids, is holding their thumbs on the insides of the knuckles, of the fingers here. Please don't do that. Don't ever. Always thumbs across the outside, okay? And then, depending on what you've been doing, sometimes if you train with me in particular, you might see my thumb travel up here. Don't do that either, okay? It's one of my little lazy habits that I have. It's a bad one, and particularly if you're punching, you can hit right on the thumb. It's very painful. So making sure the thumb is squarely across the front of the fist. And then the next thing is making sure we're not squeezing the fist so that it sort of ends up looking like that, okay? You want to try and have a nice flat surface across the front of your fist and holding it nice and straight. There are your 4 basic punches is jab, cross, hook, uppercut. And then from there, we're going to talk about gloves. Should you wear gloves? What kind of gloves should you wear? yes, you should wear gloves. You should definitely wear gloves. And you know, again, you do you, right? Whatever suits your budget, your training schedule, how hard or how easy you're going with your training, your comfort level as well. Okay, so I've got a couple pairs of gloves here. I got my boxing gloves. I've got my 10-ounce gloves. I like training with these when I want something a little bit heavier, but not too heavy. You know, you can get anywhere from 8 to 16 ounce. So yeah, you know, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 ounce gloves. Probably get 20, I don't know. I find you know, around the 10 ounce, 8, 10 ounce is really good for fitness work. Okay, it's not too heavy, you're not sort of having to walk around with a heavy weight on your hands, particularly because we're focusing more on fitness rather than actually fighting. You know, what you're wanting is cushioning on your fists rather than actually having something really heavy to train with and fight with. Okay, so you know, you can get away with having 8 to 10 ounce gloves. What you want is something that's going to have a good amount of padding for the striking zone in here, and you want something that's going to give you some really good wrist support. Okay, and that is because the more comfortable we get with what we're doing, the better technique we get. With the more that we train, the harder we hit. And then depending on how far you go with it, you might want to invest in some wraps as well. That's for a whole other video. For the people wondering, do you need wraps at the beginning? I don't think you do, particularly when you're considering we're doing the focus for this is for fitness rather than learning how to fight. If you are learning how to fight or doing kickboxing or anything like that, then that's a different story. And my answer is yes, you're going to need and want wraps. But for fitness work, probably not. Okay, so that's boxing gloves. I love them. I use them when I'm wanting a slightly bigger workout, or if I want to hit hard, or if I'm training with people who do kickboxing, basically. And then on the other side of it is I also have my MMA gloves. So these gloves, taking it into the fitness side of things, I quite enjoy having these gloves because it means that if I'm doing a workout, I have my hands free. Okay, I've got good wrist support in these gloves. They also have this amount of padding for the hands to protect the fist. Good wrist support, but my hands are open so I can swing kettlebells, I can lift weights. I've got my hands free to do all kinds of fun things whilst I'm also getting in my striking workout. So it's up to you, you do you. But at the end of the day, for me, both of these types of gloves have their purpose, and I will choose them depending on the type of workout that I'm doing. The other, actually I didn't bring them over here, is you can also use bag mitts, and they just generally tend to be a really light glove with a small amount of padding, and mostly, they're used on when you're doing bag work. You find a lot of people, everybody's got a pair of bag mitts somewhere lying around the house. Also good, particularly when we're just focusing on doing fitness rather than punching people in a controlled scenario kind of thing. If we're just doing it for fitness, just make sure you get a pair of gloves that are going to give you wrist support and knuckle support, basically. But if you have any questions, just ask. Okay, so that's gloves. The next thing you're going to want to do is either get a bag or some focus pads and a training partner. Thoroughly recommend getting some pads and a training partner because it gives you a slightly better workout, a little bit more interaction. The key things to know when it comes to holding pads, one of my favorite things to say is pad work is not a holiday. You should be getting not quite as much as, but also a bit of a workout whilst holding pads. So I'm matching my training partner's stance. When they're shaping up or getting into their fighting stance, I am shaping up with them and getting into my fighting stance. I'm holding the pads up at around about head height for me, not them, okay? I'm not a very tall person, so quite often my training partner's heads are up here. But if I do that, particularly because I do this for a job and if I did that for every training session I did every day, I would have terrible shoulders, okay? Bad for my shoulders, better for my shoulders at this height here. Making sure I'm not holding the pad directly in front of my face, because if I hit it and I'm not really paying attention, I'm gonna hit my own head. That hurts. Been there, done that for you. You don't have to do it yourself. So around about shoulder, head to shoulder height and out at the shoulders a little bit. The other thing that I see happens a lot when we're doing pad work is people tend to head out here. Can we not do that, please? Can we try and keep it in nice and central, based on the central line, based on what we're doing, which is known to strike, the idea of striking another person. Your training partner, when they're striking, should be aiming for the white dot on the pads. Most pads have a white dot. If they don't, the center part of that pad is where they should be aiming. But you as the pad holder should also be aiming to hold that pad for them to hit. That's my job as a pad holder, is to be a good pad holder and give them a good target to work at. So if they're going to come in and do jab cross, their jab's coming from their left hand, I'm holding my left hand up, offering the pad, cross, offering the pad. Or in combination it would look like bang bang and down again. So one of the things I like to do with my training partners is, if I am not ready, I do not offer up the pads. It's a clear signal, not ready, ready. Okay, and if my training partner is new or unsure or just learning what they're doing, I will tend to only offer up the pad that they are to strike. So if it's jab cross combo, I will go jab cross. And we slow it down until we get comfortable with each other and confident with our techniques. We don't need to be rushing and moving super fast. Trust me, it'll come. It comes. Speed comes when the technique has been developed. So slow it down, get the technique right. If you're holding the pads, offer them up as they're ready. Jab, cross. Jab, cross. Once you get confident and everybody's happy, jab, cross. Okay, jab, cross. I want to make sure when I'm holding pads that I'm not standing with my arms out and I'm rigid and I'm looking away like this. Okay, what I want to do is shape up. I want to have my good, strong, solid stance, and I want to be ready, and I want to be active. I quite often say it's like giving somebody a good, decent high five, okay? Bang. I'm not hitting them down. I'm also not being rigid and holding it up. I'm also not being really loose and lax, and when they hit the pad, my arm goes flying, okay? That is not a fun workout for anybody. And don't be scared to communicate with your training partner if they're coming in too close, or if you're feeling a little bit scared. Just say to them, hey man, I'm feeling a bit scared. Can you tone it down a bit? Okay? Because that is about learning how to do these techniques. I was thinking about, I was working with a client the other day, and I kept taking a step back, and so they kept taking a step forward, and I had to stop and say, the reason I'm taking a step back is because I need some space, and you keep encroaching on me. And they're like, oh, but you keep getting farther away. And I'm like, yeah, but your arms are longer than you think they are. Okay, so it is about communicating and letting them find their way and letting you find your way in what we're doing. So just to go through pad work combination of jab, cross, hook, uppercut, which would be jab, cross, and then when the hook comes around the corner this way, and the uppercut comes up this way. So that would be jab, cross, hook, uppercut. Once more, jab, cross, hook, uppercut. And you'll see when I'm doing it, it is a full body experience. I'm not just sitting here robotically moving my arms. I'm in my stance and I'm moving my whole body with it, getting my abs working, getting my legs working, getting my feet working, okay? It's not a holiday. Get in there, use pad work as an opportunity to get your body into the fighting experience or the striking experience. Jab, cross, hook, uppercut, gloves, pads. If you've got any questions, quandaries, or queries about what it is that we're doing, please feel free to get in contact. Happy to have a chat with you about it. Other than that, thank you very much. Oh, I totally forgot. I've got to remember, you guys, if you're watching this video and you haven't already subscribe to our channel, because that's where we're at. But other than that, we'll see you on the next one. Bye.